Hello and welcome to another iSMA Controlly 30 Minutes webinar. My name is Paweł Szarmański and today I have the pleasure together with my colleague Tomasz Janicki to introduce to you our latest VAV 14 IP controller. So without further ado, let's go and look at the key features of the controller itself. But before that, we'll go through the agenda. We'll do the key hardware features overview. We'll tell you about the CP VAV room operating unit. I will give you a brief overview of all configuration and commissioning options of the latest VAV 14 IP controller and show you the balancing tools that comes with the controller itself. Last but not least, the application overview and of course the live demo where we show to you in brief all necessary tools and hardware information you must know about our latest controller. So let's now look at the key features of the VAV 14 IP. First and foremost, our controller is an IP controller with integrated actuator and a pressure sensor. It's a unique two-in-one combination. The controller itself is configurable with support for over 200 of VAV boxes, but it's still a freely programmable controller as it is based on our Nano Edge engine platform. We, together with the controller, bring time-saving balancing and commissioning capabilities that come with the software tools we'll show to you in a second. And last but not least, the hardware itself. Which is an innovative hardware with a combination of 13 inputs and outputs, a cable grip system, a fail-safe Ethernet switch, and more. So maybe, Tomasz, now let's go to the hardware itself, and maybe you can tell us more about the hardware.
Yes, let's investigate what exactly more means. So let's take a look. 13 inputs and outputs, differential pressure sensor, the built-in controller. We also have the two-port Ethernet fail-safe switch, well known from the RAK18 IP, which allows you to keep the communication even in case of the power supply failure. Then we have the USB port C, which allows you to make a configuration and the power up, and of course the programming in case we are talking on a freely programmable controller. The deep switches allows you to make a configuration of the application. So with only deep switches, you can configure, set up, and commission the controller. We have the integrated damper actuator with the torque up to 4 Newton meters. From communication point of view, we have the BACnet MSTP, BACnet TCP IP for and dedicated ports to connect the room operating unit and some kind of extensions. Which room operating unit? We have the CPVAV, which is the plug and play control point space sensor. Some overview about the certification. So from the beginning, we will have the BTL confirmation that our BACnet protocol is developed according to the BTL standard. The UL certification is in progress, and we're supposed to have the UL confirmation in the end of the year. But of course, from the beginning, we'll have the UA and UKCA declaration of conformity.
Okay, thank you for the hardware introduction. Let's maybe now look at what we bring from the software standpoint. We thought about multiple ways of how you as the users would like to configure, commission, and balance the VAV system. And therefore, we bring multiple tools and multiple ways to configure the built-in application in the controller. But that's not only it. Together with the controller, because of the Nano Edge engine itself, we give you tools to program the controller either with Niagara Workbench or VAV tools. So altogether, we bring for you a number of tools for the configuration, commissioning, and balancing of the entire VAV system. So let's maybe first look at the application itself. So when we look at the application, we have configuration options for the VAV controller for over 200 VAV box types. So the controller itself can work as a VAV or a VVT, VAV unit. We support the cooling only or cooling and heating modes. We support the electrical reheater with optional parameter as well, and a two-stage electric reheater. Overall, there's also an option to set up the fans in parallel or series, which altogether gives you the combination of over 200 VAV boxes. So how would you configure the VAV controller itself? Well, we have 4 configuration types for our VAV controller. The easiest one doesn't require any software at all. You can use the built-in deep switches for the quick setup and initial configuration of the VAV controller. So just setting up one of those 3 deep switches, you have the access to configure the application. The second option is the dedicated wall operating unit we call control point. The control point gives you an option next to being a space sensor with 3 sensor types to freely configure the VAV application directly from the panel when it is connected one-to-one to the controller, or through the built-in USB port in the wall unit. So once you have the controller and the wall panel connected all together, there is an option to configure the application directly from the panel. The third option is our free of charge iSMA Configurator software. It is a portable free tool that you will install on your Windows laptop. And from the software using the BACnet IP network, you can really easily configure the VAV either one-to-one or one-to-many. So we can configure, balance the whole VAV system. And we always think about how would the Niagara user work in our environment. This is why we also integrate the whole configuration, balancing, and commissioning options into Niagara with our latest IC device manager. So maybe, Tomasz, let's start with the basic one, the option number 1, so deep switch configuration.
Yes, let's look deeply what is possible to do. We've got 6, 8, 8, and 4, and 6. So we've got 22 deep switches available in the controller, and we can make all the configure all the parameters available. So by the factory, you can select the unit, and then you can select all the types of the application that you described. We can choose between the VAV and the VVT system. We can select the type of a heater that we have in the installation. We can select type of fan that we have in the installation and type of perimeter which we have in the installation. What is very important that together with the second option and the CP-VAV panel, we can use the space sensor, the temperature sensor, CO2 sensor, humidity sensor, and use them in the application. It works out of the box.
Okay, great. So maybe let's look how the configuration option number 2 would look. So we have the control point panel from which we can configure the VAV application. We can set up the flow and do the balancing for one single unit. So can you move to the next slide and let's look how it looks on the screen now. So what we have now, we have a single VAV controller connected directly using the smart plug, which is our quick connector that shares both the power and communication. As the control point itself, it's also BACnet MSTP. It communicates and allows us to configure one-to-one the VAV controller on the network. So let's look at the buttons that we have available on the panel itself. So starting from the left, we have the starting from the right, we have the OK confirmation button, which also give us an option to access the hidden menu of the panel. So there's a password protected hidden menu that by accessing it directly, we can go into the VAV configuration, and after accepting the pin that you can freely change, we can change and access all the software application configuration options for the VAV unit. Okay, let's go further. And this is the second option I mentioned. So by accessing the CP control point unit through the USB-C port, we can, on our laptop, open the iSMA configurator and freely configure the application directly using the same methodology you would use on the panel itself, but with a nice prompt interface that will allow you to speed up the configuration.
Option number 3 is the iSMA configurator software. And this software allows you to make the application configuration, flow settings, and balancing. So exactly the same option that you have available in the CP panel. What was the difference? So as you mentioned, Pavel, for computer, it's as it is a computer, it is really easier to make it, and you can reduce the time because you don't have to click all the buttons and you have everything in the computer. The iSMA configurator is totally free of charge, so you don't have to pay for it.
I think the great option with the configurator itself is also we can save the template for the configuration and just restore it on multiple controllers, which you can add from the panel itself. So for all users, we have many options. I think this is great when you have to fine-tune or change some parameter, but if you do the whole configuration of all the units on the network, this is also great too. So.
Exactly. And iSMA configurator recognizes two kinds of networks. We can easily connect using the USB cable just to the CP panel and make the configuration one by one, the configuration of the controller connected to the CP panel. But if we want to discover all the network, all the controllers available on the network, it's also available. So it's quite powerful, even it's a freeware. So I like it. But the balancing is the dedicated tab which allows you to make a balancing of the VAV controller. You can set the key factor. You can set the minimum and maximum flow, do the zeroing of the sensor, and that's all. And manual override dampers and sensor. So a manual override the mode.
All right, great. So the other option we have with the Niagara for the Niagara users, coming with our latest IC Niagara 4.15.1, the IC Device Manager will become available for you integrated into our Workbench, but we will always release it also as a free of charge service for users that use any Niagara Workbench. So this is an extension for your Niagara Workbench of choice that gives you a capability to, while seeing all the devices on the BACnet network, also easy access the application configuration as well. So it's worth noting at that point that the whole configuration of the VAV unit is done over BACnet network. So it's a BACnet IP controller. And the BACnet IP controller, as it is also the application of the controller is developed according to the ASHRAE 36 guidelines. And with the guidelines, we also, following the guidelines, we share, I think over 100, it's around 110.
It's 116.
116 BACnet objects that allow you to really look in depth in your VAV application and also configure it freely over BACnet itself. But to make it much easier than just going through all the BACnet objects, we develop a special service that gives you the same feature set as you see in our iSMA configurator, but directly in the Niagara Workbench itself. So once you take the service, put in your station in the services, and you have your BACnet devices already available in the BACnet network, you'll be able to really seamlessly access the configuration of the VAV units. And even if you have them pre-configured already, either using the wall panel or from the iSMA configurator, if anything changes, you can always access this application directly through the software. So it means at the end of the day, if the things changes during the commissioning process or the building grows, you can always export the settings from the latest configuration of your VAV box and import it to the new boxes you just have recently added on your facility. So it's also free of charge, as I mentioned, same feature set, and work with all So together with our AnyTool which is a programming tool that we'll tell you a bit more in a second, you can really configure, commission, balance, and program the controller or extend the program in your VAV unit directly using Niagara framework. So that's how it looks. You can access the IP network directly using the Niagara supervisor, or you can go to a Jace 9000 or to our Mac 46 Pro, so to your controllers of choice as well. So it's not just the supervisor, it's also supported on our Niagara controllers.
And let's stop for a while and think, what makes the VAV14 IP fully programmable controller? It's because we have the Nano Edge engine, so our embedded software platform dedicated to edge controllers and edge devices. They are programming in the real times, and as you mentioned, Pavel, you can choose the Niagara Workbench as a dedicated tool for programming, but we also don't forget about the people who are not Niagara, not in the Niagara community. We provide them iCTool, which is the free of charge tool. So even if we're talking about the programming, the VAV for your custom application, we provide two kinds of tools, free of charge and Niagara Workbench.
Okay.
This is the VAV application building, and just a confirmation that both tools can work parallel together, and you can choose your tool.
And the application actually looks the same in both tools.
Exactly, because this is the VAV application.
So on the left is Niagara, and on the right is the iCTool, but basically you access the same logic in both tools in real time. That is really cool. Okay, so I think this is a really nice addition to the Nano Edge engine as a platform, but also how we utilize the platform in our hardware. So now with all Nano Edge engine controllers, so we have the Rack 18 now and the VAV controller, together with the latest software update, we'll be able to access the program not just through the IP network, but also using the USB-C port. So that means you can access the application and do the initial configuration also for the IP addressing directly through the IP port and the USB-C port we see here now on the screen. So really lots of options.
Yes, and let's take a look how it looks in the real life.
Right, so I have here a demo of our VAV unit. So maybe firstly, let's just briefly look at the controller itself, how it looks in real life. So we have the integrated dumper actuator right here, but we also have a latch, and the latch will allow you to manually override the position of the actuator itself as well. On the front, we also see here the USB-C port that will power up the controller and allow you to access the application in the controller directly using our iCTool or the AnyTool extension for Niagara. We see the number of the dip switches here. So the first dip switch, it will allow you to set the imperial or metric units, and also bring back the controller to the default settings, right? So even if you have done some changes to the controller, you can always bring it back using the one of the switches. And the dip switch number as free, this will give you all the capabilities of the application configuration. So by default, it is in a BMS mode, which will allow you to configure it with our tools. But let's say if you would like to just simply configure the application as it is, you can set the first bit of the dip switch number as free and do the initial configuration as Tomasz described, just from the controller itself. We have 13 inputs and outputs that go around this controller. So, and of course the power itself. So the controller is being powered from 24-volt AC or 24-volt DC. We have here 4 triac outputs for the actuators, but the application can also work with the analog outputs. So based on the configuration of the application in the unit, you will also wire the controller itself for the proper actuators. We have the digital inputs here, 2 of them. We have the universal inputs, which are also configurable for different sensor types. And then we have the COM port, which is actually shared with our smart plug here. So the same COM port, which is BACnet MSTP and Modbus RTU port, will allow you to integrate directly our wall panels. So you always have an option. Our panels are BACnet MSTP and Modbus RTU, and on the back here, let me put the control down there. On the back here, you can see two RJ45 ports, which are actually used for the MSTP connection and powering the CP unit directly from the controller. So there is no need to power up additionally the CP unit. It's being powered from the controller itself. And the other cool feature is you can daisy chain up to 5 CP units on the network, and they all will be powered directly from the VAV controller and communicate with the VAV controller.
So you can have up to 2-3 space sensors and make the average.
Yeah, and just average it on a large room. That's really great. So going back to the controller itself, where I was. Okay, so the interfaces go around the controller right here, and something that is very cool, which I really like, is our new cable grip system that will allow you to conveniently and practically just tie up all the cables that go from the interfaces and inputs to this cable grip, so it will not interfere anywhere, and you can really nicely tie it up here with this cable grip. So another important feature is, of course, the AND biasing or none switch for the COM ports. So if this is the if you will have just the last unit here, you can always and next we have two Ethernet ports right here, and those two Ethernet ports work in a fail-safe mode, so you can simply, I see we have some issues, or no issues. So I hope you can see what I'm showing. We have almost 100 people connected, so thank you guys for joining the webinar. So back to the Ethernet ports. So you can easily just daisy chain all of your VAV units, and you don't need to bring more expensive switches and just wire one by one of those VAV units on the network. You can simply daisy chain them, and because that is a fail-safe, which are physical switches installed on the board in the controller, even if one of the controller on the network fails or is being disconnected from the network, the communication on the IP will pass through even without the power on the unit itself.
That's the power of daisy chain and fail-safe mechanism.
Yeah, it's a great feature for the daisy chaining. We support daisy chaining also in the IO modules, but as it's in a control cabinet installation, there's no failsafe. But for such a unit where you install it under the ceiling, I think it's important that you have such a feature in the controller. And of course, last but not least, we also have here the integrated pressure sensor right here. So overall, this is the controller as you see it. And I think now we can move to the tools, right?
Yeah, let's take a look on the connected and power, let's say plugged controller. So we have one set with the power up controllers, and we will start with the commissioning without any tool, without any computer. So I will just click the OK menu to enter the password protected submenu. And I just need to hold for 3 seconds, and you can see that it's password protected. It requires a PIN. So 1000 is the default one. And I've got the configuration settings. So configuration and application configuration settings is the flow settings, and a balancing option. And when I will enter the balancing option, I will go into the balancing possibility, and I will start with the setting the key factor. And I can set the key factor using the buttons available. So I will set it to 3500, 350. Sorry, 350. Why I telling you the value? Because now I will decide to switch to computer and I will connect the USB cable to my CP panel and I will connect it to my PC and open the iSMA configurator software just to show you that the same value is available in the software. So please let me share my screen and please take a look on the well-known iSMA configurator. So the free of charge software. And you can see that I've got the CP panel connected using on my USB connection. I will switch to online and I've got all the tabs responsible for the CP panel configuration. And you can see that I've got a CP VAV model with the humidity sensor. So I can measure the humidity. I can set all the basic setting for the CP panel. And I've got one additional tab, which is the VAV configuration. And here I can make all the step configuration about the application configuration, flow settings, and balancing. And you can see that the key factor, which was set by me using the CP panel, was written in the iSMA configurator. And now I will make some changes using the USB connection. So I will change the VAV type from VVT to VAV, and I will change the type of sensor connected to my VAV controller. So I will choose the
type 2, the most popular, I guess.
Type 2, exactly. Set the type 2. Let's set the type 2, the most popular United States. And I will just disconnect. So I will unplug my cable. You can see that device disappear. And now using the same software, I will open the dedicated menu VAV tab configurator. And this tab allows me to make the discover of all the controllers on the tab. So I just need the wire connection.
I think this is important. So we've done now a one-to-one configuration, and now we change to a multi-device configuration. So you can actually just discover all your BACnet devices on the network and set them up directly from the iSMA configurator, not just one by one, but from one tool, commission all the VAV units on the network.
Exactly. And you can see that on my controller, I change the VAV type from VVT to VAV. So I will read all the parameters and I can save this configuration to the file, and let's say it Tomasz. And to deploy the same configuration for the next controller on the bus, I can do the same using the load from the file also. I can read it, select the controllers, and write the configuration to the selected controllers. The pop-up window just appeared, inform me about the status of the deploying, and you can see that just hold for a while, like always on the live demo.
You need to create a refresh tab.
And I need to refresh the tab to see that the configuration have been changed.
Yeah. So one-to-one, one-to-many. We got this in an iSMA configurator. And by the way, let me now share the screen, and I will tell you, we have the same feature set directly in Niagara. So let me share my screen now. You can all see it. So I have one VAV14 IP added into my BACnet network. And once your configuration, so adding the VAV unit to your BACnet network is done, you can open our IC device manager service. So it's right here now in my services. And this is, we have a nicely done, let's say, menu. Once we add more units for the configuration, now it's just for the VAV, but we'll expand it for more devices in the future to allow seamless configuration of them. Now we can open the VAV, and as I can see, I have the same unit I had on my BACnet network. It pops up automatically based on the model. So if you have 100 of them, you'll see 100 of the VAV devices right here. And as you can see, I can access the same configuration I saw in the iSMA tool, iSMA configurator. and do similar configuration directly from the tool. So I can change the type from the VAV to the VVT, and let's say I can change the discharge temperature to the 10K type 2. I can upload it to the controller itself, or I can export it, and it's also interchangeable. So I can take the configuration from the iSMA configurator and reuse it directly in the Niagara IC Device Manager.
So it's the same file. The same file can be loaded in the iSMA configurator and IC Device Manager.
So as you can see, the job success. So the configuration has been sent to the controller, and same for the flow settings and the balancing. So all options are here. So I can set the key factor. I can change the value right here, submit it to the controller, and I have the confirmation that the change that I have done to this controller has been submitted successfully. So let's accept it. And yet this is for the configuration, but let's not forget about the programming itself. So directly in Niagara, we have also our Any2 device extension that will allow you to access the device, program with the controller. So I can log into the controller. We have an interactive LED here on the controller, which will tell you the status of loading the application. So now the application in the controller is loading. And once this LED changes to green, it means that the whole tree of the device has been loaded to our Niagara instance, and we are able to access the VAV logic and the whole application configuration. It will also give you an option to back up the controller, to change the network settings. So it's not just the application, we have the whole configuration of the VAV unit in Niagara directly. So in the meantime, as you can see, we have the green LED right here. We can see that the device is the VAV 14IP. I can expand this tree, and I can go directly to the application itself. There's a container called VAV, and we can see here we have different folders and sub-equipments like the thermostat. And yeah, I can access the whole VAV application directly in my Niagara instance. I can change it, or you can add a new application and utilize the leftover IOs and write a control logic in addition to the default one here using Niagara Workbench. So
and all can be done. All of this can be done using the USB port. So there was a question on the chat, and there was an answer. So thank you for the answer. Yes, we can configure everything can be programmed like in RAC 18 IP and using the only USB port.
So that was the 30 minutes overview of our new VAV controller. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining us. I just want to give you an information that we'll be having another series about the VAV. So we'll do an in-depth session on a multi-device addressing, multi-device configuration, and in-depth in all the tools. So this is just an initial overview, but please stay tuned for the following webinars. Of course, please come to our channel, our YouTube channel. The recording will be available on the channel itself as well. Okay, we have some questions. So yeah. Do you want to answer them? We can answer.
Yeah, we can answer. Why not?
So I see here, can you view multiple MSTP devices via USB? So if you're connected over USB, you have access to the whole VAV unit. If you integrate over the RSPray 5-port MSTP devices, you can see them as well over USB. So the answer is yes.
But the USB connection allows you to program one by one. So
yeah, but if you have the RSPray 5 devices connected,
yeah, if you have
them, you see them.
You see them.
So this is an IP controller, right? So the main purpose of it is to install on the IP. So I guess the question is about the IO modules on the RSPray 5 or the CP panels. Does the RAC 18 setup work similar to this for Niagara 2? The answer is yes. So those controllers share the same technology, which is the Nano Edge engine, and you can easily access the same feature set like the USB programming or the IP programming over Niagara. What is the data point limit? I think it's 150.
150, the same like in RAC 18 IP.
All right, we are 4 minutes over the time. I think we'll just summarize. So please ask more questions and send them to us. We'll summarize it on a document and share with you over email. Thank you again for joining us. And as I said, subscribe to our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn, where we'll post more information on the VAV and other controllers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.